Marcus Chen adjusted his breathing mask and looked around the massive biodome. The ceiling stretched high above him, made of thick, transparent metal that showed the stars beyond. He was standing on what looked like a desert planet's surface, complete with red sand and strange purple rocks. But he knew this was all fake. Just a training room on Kepler 7 space station. "Welcome to your survival certification test," announced Vextai, the drill supervisor. The alien looked like a walking diamond, with crystal skin that sparkled under the artificial sun. "You have 72 hours to survive in this environment, with limited supplies." Marcus nodded and glanced at his teammates. What a strange group they made. Next to him stood Crix, an insect-like alien with 6 arms and shiny black armor covering his entire body. The creature's compound eyes reflected the light like disco balls. Zeph floated nearby, looking more like colored smoke than a solid being. The gaseous alien changed from blue to green to purple as emotions shifted through its cloud-like form. Right now, Zeph glowed a worried orange color. The last team member was Thalen, who needed a special water suit to survive outside his ocean world. The fish-like alien moved slowly on mechanical legs, but Marcus had heard their species could think through problems better than most computers. "Each species here has natural advantages," Vextai continued, pointing at each of them. "Crix can survive almost any physical damage. Zeph can pass through solid matter and doesn't need to breathe. Thalen can process poison and radiation safely, and I can survive in the vacuum of space." Marcus felt a bit embarrassed. What was his advantage? He was just a regular human engineer who fixed broken machines for a living. No special powers, no natural armor, no ability to float through walls. He was probably the weakest one here. "Your supplies are in that shelter." Vextai pointed to a small metal building. "Water purifier, food maker, basic tools, and emergency communication device. Use them wisely. The test begins now." The crystal alien walked to a door that Marcus hadn't noticed before. With a soft hiss, Vextai stepped through, and the door sealed behind him. They were alone. "Well," said Thalen in a bubbling voice, "I suggest we examine our resources and create a detailed survival plan. This should take approximately 4 hours to do properly." Zeph's cloud form turned more orange. 4 hours? What if something goes wrong before then? I don't like this place. It feels dangerous. Crix clicked his mandibles together, making a sound like breaking twigs. "We should vote on every decision. My people never act without group agreement. It's safer that way." Marcus listened to them talk and realized something. Each alien was thinking like their own species would think. Thalen wanted to calculate everything perfectly. Zeph worried about dangers that might not even exist. Crix wouldn't do anything without everyone agreeing first. "Maybe we should just look around first," Marcus suggested. "Get a feel for the place before we make big plans." The aliens stopped talking and stared at him. It was probably the first time any of them had heard such a simple idea. They walked toward the shelter together. Marcus noticed how different each alien's movements were. Crix skittered on 6 legs, like a giant spider. Thalen clanked along in his water suit. Zeph just drifted through the air, and Marcus walked on 2 legs like humans always had. The shelter was basic but well-equipped. The water purifier hummed quietly in one corner. The food maker looked like a microwave with too many buttons. Various tools hung on the walls: hammers, cutters, scanners, and things Marcus didn't recognize. "Adequate supplies," Thalen announced after checking everything twice. "We can survive the full 72 hours if we use exactly 2.3 liters of water per day and operate the food maker for no more than 47 minutes total." "What if the food maker breaks?" asked Zeph, now glowing a worried red color. "Then we'll fix it," Marcus said simply. "That's what tools are for." Crix clicked his mandibles. "We should vote on whether to fix things or not. And who gets to use the tools? My people believe In group decisions. Marcus was starting to understand something about his alien teammates. They were all incredibly capable in their own ways, but they thought very differently than humans did. Thalen wanted perfect plans. Zeph worried about everything that could go wrong. Crix needed group permission for everything. They were all thinking like their species had evolved to think. But humans? Humans just figured things out as they went along. The artificial sun was reaching its highest point when disaster struck. A deep, rumbling sound filled the biodome. The ground shook hard enough to knock Thalen over, in his heavy water suit. Emergency lights began flashing red. "Hull breach detected," announced a mechanical voice from somewhere in the ceiling. "Atmosphere venting. Life support systems damaged. This is not a drill. This is not a drill." Marcus felt his ears pop as the air pressure dropped. Through the transparent ceiling, he could see a massive hole torn in the station's outer wall. Pieces of metal and debris floated past in the vacuum beyond. "The meteor!" Zeph wailed, turning bright red with panic. "A real meteor hit us! We're going to die!" Crix started clicking rapidly, trying to get everyone to vote on what to do. Thalen had fallen over and couldn't get up in his heavy suit. The fish alien was calculating survival odds out loud, and the numbers didn't sound good. Marcus looked around the biodome. The air was getting thinner. The life support systems were failing. What was supposed to be a safe training exercise had become a real emergency. But as he watched his alien teammates panic, Marcus felt something humans had always been good at. When everything went wrong, humans got creative. The emergency alarms kept screaming as air rushed out through the massive hole in the biodome ceiling. Marcus watched his alien teammates try to handle the crisis, each one responding the way their species always did. Vextai's voice crackled through the communication system from the control room. "Emergency protocols activated. I'm trying to seal the breach from outside, but my crystal formations aren't working with your human-built materials." Zeph had turned completely red with panic and was floating in circles near the ceiling. "We're all going to die. The air is running out. I can feel it getting thinner." "Everyone remain calm," Thalen announced from where he lay on his side, still unable to get up in his heavy water suit. "I'm calculating our exact survival time. With current air loss rates and 5 individuals consuming oxygen, we have approximately, carry the 7, 8, 43 minutes before suffocation." Crix was clicking his mandibles so fast it sounded like a machine gun. "We need to vote. Everyone must agree on our response. Should we try to seal the breach? Should we call for help? Should we conserve oxygen? We need group consensus." Marcus looked around at his panicking teammates and realized something important. They were all incredibly smart and capable, but they were thinking like their own species. And right now, that wasn't working. Vextai was trying to use crystal formations to seal the breach. But crystals and human metal didn't mix well. Zeph was panicking instead of using that ability to phase through matter. Thalen was calculating when they'd die instead of helping them live. Crix was waiting for a group vote that would never come while they all panicked. But Marcus wasn't panicking. His mind was already working the way human minds always did when things went wrong. He was looking at everything around him and asking one simple question. What can I use? The water purifier was still running, humming away in the corner. The food maker was beeping with error messages but still had power. Tools hung on the walls. The shelter itself was made of metal panels bolted together. Even the fake desert around them had materials he could work with. "Crix, I need you to help me," Marcus called out, grabbing a cutting tool from the wall. "No voting, no discussion. Just help me take apart this wall panel." The insect alien stopped clicking. But we haven't voted. My people never act without group agreement." "Your people aren't here," Marcus said, already cutting into the metal wall. "I am, and I need your 6 arms to hold things while I work." Something in Marcus's voice made Crix move. The insect alien skittered over and grabbed the wall panel with 4 arms, while Marcus cut it free with the tool. "Thalen," Marcus called to the fallen fish alien, "stop calculating how long we have to live, and tell me how your water suit filters work. Can they clean more than just water?" 1. Thalen's mechanical voice bubbled with confusion. "Well, yes, they can process many toxic substances. But why would that matter for our current situation?" "Because I'm going to use them differently than they were designed for," Marcus said, dragging the metal panel toward the water purifier. "Zeph, can you phase through this machine and tell me what's broken inside?" The gaseous alien flickered from red to confused yellow. I suppose I could do that. But it's dangerous to phase through complex machinery." They won forward in 4. Number 4. They won forward in 4. Unforward in forward in 4. Unforward in 4. They won forward in 4. "Everything's dangerous right now," Marcus pointed out. "The question is, which danger helps us and which danger kills us?" As Zeph reluctantly flowed into the water purifier, Marcus started connecting the metal panel to the machine with tools and spare parts. He could see what needed to happen, even if it went against every safety protocol he'd ever learned. The water purifier worked by filtering air through liquids to remove impurities. The food maker had high-powered heating elements. The metal panel could be shaped into a funnel. Thalen's water suit had filters designed to process toxins. None of these things were meant to work together. But humans had always been good at making things work in ways they were never designed for. "The purifier has a cracked intake valve," Zeph reported, flowing back out of the machine. "And the main circulation pump is running too fast." "Perfect," Marcus said, which confused all the aliens. "Crix, use your sharp mandibles to cut me strips from that fake plant over there. I need flexible material." "Cut the decorative vegetation," Crix sounded scandalized. "That's destroying station property." "The station has a hole in it," Marcus pointed out. "I don't think they'll care about a plastic plant." As Crix reluctantly cut plant strips, Marcus worked on connecting systems that were never meant to be connected. He rerouted the water purifier's intake to pull air through Thalen's filters instead of water. He used the food maker's heating element to create air pressure. He shaped the metal panel into a funnel that directed airflow toward the ceiling breach. "This is completely against safety protocols," Thalen observed. "You're combining incompatible technologies. The risk of system failure is extremely high." "The system has already failed," Marcus replied, using the cut plant strips to seal connections between different alien technologies. "Now I'm making a new system." The aliens watched in fascination as Marcus worked. He wasn't using any special powers or natural abilities. He was just looking at everything around him and figuring out how to make it do something useful. Slowly, his jury-rigged contraption began to work. Air that would have been lost through the ceiling breach was being filtered, heated, and pushed back into the biodome. It wasn't pretty, and it definitely wasn't safe, but it was working. "Impossible," whispered Thalen. "You're creating air pressure with food preparation equipment." "Humans do impossible things all the time," Marcus said, adjusting connections. "We just don't call them impossible. We call them Tuesday." For the first time since the emergency began, Zeph's color shifted from panic red to curious blue. "How did you know that would work?" Marcus paused in his work and looked at his alien teammates. "I didn't know it would work. But I knew what would happen if I didn't try." Marcus's strange machine had bought them time, but the air was still slowly leaking out through the ceiling breach. His alien teammates were watching him with new interest, no longer panicking but not sure what to do next. "The temporary air recycler is working," Thalen announced, sounding amazed. "Atmospheric pressure has stabilized at acceptable levels. But this solution is not permanent." "Nothing's permanent," Marcus said, already looking around for more materials. "That's why we keep fixing things." Vex's Ty's voice crackled through the communication system again. I cannot seal the breach from outside. The meteor brought strange minerals that don't bond with our construction materials. I'm returning to assist from inside. Marcus looked up at the gaping hole in the ceiling. Chunks of weird purple rock from the meteor were scattered around the biodome floor, mixed with twisted metal from the station's hull. Most people would see this as debris to be cleared away. But Marcus saw it differently. "Crix," he called out. "Gather up those purple rocks. All of them. Use all 6 arms." The insect alien tilted his head, compound eyes glittering. "But those are just meteor fragments. They're worthless debris." "Nothing's worthless," Marcus said. "Everything can be useful, if you think about it right." As Crix reluctantly began collecting purple rocks, Marcus examined one closely. It was lighter than it looked, with a strange crystalline structure that reminded him of honeycomb. When he tapped it with a tool, it made a clear, ringing sound. "Thalen, you said your species can process different materials through your filters, right? What happens if I run this rock through your water suit system?" The fish alien's mechanical suit whirred as he considered the question. "Highly inadvisable. Unknown minerals could damage my filtration organs. The risk assessment is—" "What if I do it slowly?" Marcus interrupted. "Just a tiny piece at first?" Thalen paused his risk calculations. Something about the human's confidence was making him reconsider his usual careful approach. "Well, if we start with minimal exposure, I suppose my systems could analyze the mineral composition safely." Marcus carefully broke off a small piece of purple rock and helped Thalen process it through his water suit filters. The results surprised everyone. "Fascinating," Thalen bubbled. "This mineral appears to be highly reactive with atmospheric gases. It's actually purifying the air more efficiently than my normal filters." Zeph, who had been floating nervously nearby, suddenly brightened to an excited yellow color. "Wait, you mean the meteor that almost killed us brought something helpful?" "Humans have a saying," Marcus said with a grin. "Every cloud has a silver lining. Or in this case, every disaster has purple rocks." Now Marcus's mind was really working. The meteor rocks could purify air better than their normal equipment. The twisted metal from the hull breach could be reshaped into new components. Even the damage to the station's structure might be useful. "Everyone listen," Marcus said. And for the first time since the crisis began, all the aliens stopped what they were doing to pay attention. "We're not just going to survive this. We're going to make things better than they were before." "Better?" Crix clicked nervously. "But we're in an emergency situation. Survival is the only logical goal." "Survival is the starting point," Marcus corrected. "Improvement is the goal." Over the next hour, Marcus put his alien teammates to work in ways they'd never experienced before. Instead of following their species' normal instincts, they found themselves adapting to human-style problem-solving. He had Vexes Tai use crystal formations not to seal the breach, but to create a framework for a completely new air circulation system. The crystal alien was hesitant at first. "This violates construction protocols," Vextai complained. "Crystals should only be used for approved structural purposes. Protocols got us into this mess," Marcus pointed out. "Creativity will get us out." Zeph used the ability to phase through matter to install components inside machinery without having to dismantle everything. The gaseous alien had never thought of using this ability for construction instead of just exploration. "I've never built anything before," Zeph admitted, glowing uncertain orange. "Then you're about to learn something new about yourself," Marcus said encouragingly. Crix used all 6 arms to hold multiple components at once, while Marcus welded and connected them. The insect alien was amazed at how much faster work went without stopping to vote on every single action. "This is efficient," Crix admitted. "We're accomplishing more in 1 hour than my people usually do in 1 day." Thalen became a living chemical processor. using his natural abilities to refine the meteor minerals into exactly the right materials for their improvised systems. The fish aliens stopped calculating risks and started calculating improvements. If we adjust the mineral concentration by 12.7%, Thalen suggested, we could increase air purification efficiency by 340%. Now you're thinking like a human, Marcus said approvingly. As they worked together, something amazing began to happen. The aliens started suggesting their own creative modifications. Vex Tai proposed using crystal resonance to amplify the air circulation. Zeph figured out how to phase-shift components into perfect alignment. Crix began acting on good ideas immediately, instead of waiting for votes. Thalen started making rapid approximations, instead of perfect calculations. By mid-morning, they had completely rebuilt the biodome's life support system, using meteor minerals, twisted metal, alien biology, and human ingenuity. The new system wasn't just working, it was working better than the original. Atmospheric quality is now 127% of normal standards, Thalen announced, sounding amazed at his own words. This is unprecedented. The air tastes better too, added Zeph, who had shifted to a happy blue color. Marcus stepped back and looked at their work. The biodome that had been dying a few hours ago was now thriving. But he wasn't done yet. Humans never stopped improving things once they got started. Phase 1 complete, Marcus announced. Now, let's work on making this place actually comfortable. With the air quality now better than before the accident, Marcus looked around the biodome with fresh eyes. His alien teammates were still amazed that they had turned a disaster into an improvement. But the human was already planning the next upgrades. The life support is working great, Marcus said. But we can do better. Look at all this space we're not using efficiently. The aliens followed his gaze around the biodome. To them, it looked fine. A survival shelter, some scattered equipment, and the fake desert environment for the training exercise. But Marcus saw something completely different. Zeph, can you phase through the ceiling and see what's on the other side of that wall? Marcus pointed to the far end of the biodome. The gaseous alien shifted to curious yellow and drifted upward. A few moments later, Zeph returned with exciting news. There's another damaged section connected to this one. It's got broken water pipes and a failed power generator, but it's huge. Perfect, Marcus said, grabbing tools. We're expanding. Crix clicked nervously. But we don't have permission to modify station structure. Shouldn't we vote on whether to break through walls? The station's already broken, Marcus pointed out. We're not breaking it more. We're fixing it better. Using Vex's Tai's crystal cutting abilities, they carefully opened a passage to the adjacent section. What they found made even the methodical Thalen excited. A massive chamber filled with broken but salvageable equipment. This was the original engineering bay, Vex Tai explained. It was abandoned after the meteor damage. But look at all these components. Marcus's eyes lit up like a child in a toy store. Broken water recyclers, damaged power generators, non-functional heating systems, and computers with cracked screens were scattered everywhere. Most engineers would see this as a junk pile. Marcus saw it as an opportunity. Thalen, what's your species' record for water purification efficiency? Marcus asked while examining a damaged recycler. Our biological filters can process 47.3 liters per hour, with 99.2% purity. Thalen replied proudly. It's considered excellent by galactic standards. What if we could do better than that? Thalen's mechanical suit whirred with confusion. Better than biological perfection? That's theoretically impossible. Impossible is just another word for, nobody's tried it yet, Marcus said, already pulling components out of 3 different broken recyclers. Help me connect your filters to these machines. What happened next amazed all the aliens. Marcus wasn't just fixing the broken equipment. He was combining it in ways that had never been attempted before. He used Vex's Tai's crystal formations as super-efficient conductors. Zeph's phase-shifting abilities to perfectly align internal components, and Crix's multiple arms to assemble complex systems quickly. But the real breakthrough came when he integrated Thalen's biological filters with the mechanical recyclers and the purified meteor minerals they'd discovered earlier. "This should not work," Thalen said as Marcus connected his water suit to the hybrid system. "You're mixing biological, mechanical, and mineral processing in ways that violate basic engineering principles. Sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to ignore the rules that created it," Marcus replied. When they tested the new system, even Thalen was speechless. The hybrid recycler was producing 340 liters per hour of water. That was 99.9% pure, 7 times more efficient than biological processing alone. "How?" Thalen whispered. "How did combining imperfect systems create perfect results?" "Because each system covers the other's weaknesses," Marcus explained. "Your biological filters catch things machines miss. The machines handle volumes your biology can't process. The minerals purify things neither of you can touch. Separately, they're good. Together, they're amazing." Zeph glowed with understanding. "You mean diversity makes us stronger? Now you're getting it." While they worked on water systems, Marcus had Crix and Vex's tie rebuilding the power generation system using the same principles. Instead of trying to repair the broken generator, they built a completely new one that harvested energy from multiple sources. "We're using the station's rotation for kinetic energy," Vextai explained excitedly. "Crystal resonance for electrical amplification, and the biodome's temperature differences for thermal power. It's generating 400% more electricity than the original system." By late morning, what had started as emergency repairs had become a complete renovation. The biodome now had unlimited clean water, abundant power, perfect air quality, and comfortable living spaces. But Marcus wasn't finished. "The food maker," he said, examining the device they'd almost ignored. "It's only programmed for basic nutrition. What if we upgraded it?" Using components from the engineering bay, Marcus rebuilt the food maker into something that could have fed a luxury restaurant. The new system could create dozens of different meal types using optimized nutrition profiles for each species. "I can't believe this," Crick said, sampling a perfectly prepared meal designed for insect biology. "This tastes better than food on my homeworld." Even more impressive was the waste management system Marcus created. Instead of just disposing of garbage, the new system recycled everything back into useful materials. Waste heat-powered additional systems. Food scraps became fertilizer for a small garden he'd started in one corner. Even the air they breathed was being continuously purified and enriched. "We're not just surviving," Thalen observed, running calculations on their improved systems. "We're thriving, beyond the capabilities of the original station design." As the artificial sun reached its highest point, marking noon on the training schedule, Marcus stood back and surveyed their work. The biodome that had been a basic survival shelter 12 hours ago was now more advanced than most space stations. Emergency alarms from other parts of the station could be heard in the distance, and Marcus realized something important. "Vextai," he said, activating the communication system. "Are there other damaged sections that need help?" The crystal alien checked the station's status. "Yes, 3 other biodomes have minor damage, and the main engineering deck is having power problems." Marcus grinned and looked at his alien teammates, who were all glowing, clicking, or bubbling with excitement about their achievements. "Well," he said, "looks like we've got more fixing to do." For the first time since the crisis began, all 4 aliens spoke at once. "Let's do it." At exactly noon, 12 hours after the disaster began, Marcus stood in what used to be a basic survival training dome. Now, it looked like the most advanced facility in the galaxy. Clean water flowed from multiple taps. Perfect air circulated through crystal-enhanced filters, and the food systems could create meals that made luxury restaurants jealous. But the real miracle wasn't the technology. It was watching his alien teammates work together in ways their species had never imagined. Vextai was no longer just following rigid protocols. The crystal alien was actively suggesting creative modifications to their systems. "Marcus, What if we use crystal resonance to boost the communication array? We could help coordinate repairs throughout the entire station. That's exactly the kind of thinking we need, Marcus said proudly. Do it. Zeph had stopped worrying about everything that could go wrong and started getting excited about everything that could go right. The gaseous alien was now phasing through walls to install improvements in spaces no one else could reach. I found another broken section, Zeph announced, glowing bright blue with enthusiasm. It's got damaged computers we could fix. Crix no longer waited for group votes before taking action. The insect alien was making independent decisions and working faster than ever before. I'm already gathering the damaged computer components, Crix called out. We can have them rebuilt in an hour. And Thalen had stopped calculating perfect solutions and started implementing good solutions immediately. Based on rapid analysis, we can improve station-wide efficiency by 67% if we apply our techniques to other sections. Marcus watched them work and felt something humans always felt when they saw others succeed. Pride. These aliens hadn't just learned to fix machines. They'd learned to think like humans. Creatively, rapidly, and without fear of making mistakes. The communication system crackled to life. It was the station commander, calling from the main control center. Biodome 7, this is Commander Xeris. We're reading impossible data from your sector. Your life support is showing 340% efficiency. Power generation is at 400% capacity. And your resource recycling is completely off the charts. Please, explain. Marcus looked at his alien friends and grinned. Should I tell him, or do you want to? Vex Tai stepped forward to the communication panel. Improvements? You were supposed to be conducting a basic survival drill. How did you achieve these results? We had a good teacher, Vex Tai said, looking at Marcus. Someone who showed us that the best way to solve problems is to ignore the rules that created them. Over the next hour, teams of engineers and technicians from throughout the station came to examine their work. What they found left everyone speechless. This hybrid water system shouldn't work, muttered the chief engineer, a scaled alien from the Reptilian Confederacy. You're mixing 3 incompatible technologies. It works because incompatible doesn't mean impossible, Marcus explained. It just means no one's figured out how to make them compatible yet. The station's head of life support was amazed by their air recycling system. You've achieved purification levels we thought were theoretically impossible. How? 2. We stopped thinking about limits and started thinking about possibilities, Thalen answered, clearly proud of his new, human-style thinking. But the biggest surprise came when rescue teams arrived from the main fleet. They'd expected to find disaster survivors who needed evacuation. Instead, they found the most efficiently run facility any of them had ever seen. We came here to rescue you, said Captain Morvac, the fleet commander. But it looks like you rescued yourselves. And then some. We didn't just rescue ourselves, Zeph said, glowing with pride. We rescued this whole section of the station. It was true. Using their improved systems as a base, Marcus and his alien friends had spent the morning helping other damaged sections. They'd fixed power problems in the main engineering bay, restored life support to 3 other biodomes, and even improved systems that hadn't been damaged in the first place. The entire station is now running more efficiently than before the meteor strike, reported the station's computer AI. Overall efficiency has increased by 89% across all systems. Commander Xeris stared at Marcus with something like awe. You turned a disaster into the greatest upgrade in station history. How is that possible? Marcus looked around at his alien friends, who were all beaming with pride in their own ways. When everything goes wrong, humans don't just try to get back to normal. We try to get to better than normal. And it turns out, that's a lot easier when you have good friends helping you think of new ideas. The human approach is remarkably effective, Thalen observed. Instead of calculating perfect solutions, we implemented many good solutions quickly. The cumulative effect exceeded our most optimistic projections. And it was fun, added Crix, clicking happily. I've never enjoyed problem-solving before. Usually, it takes forever to get everyone to agree on anything. Captain Morvac shook his head in amazement. In my 40 years of space service, I've never seen anything like this. A survival drill becomes a disaster. A disaster becomes an upgrade. And an upgrade becomes a masterpiece of engineering. How do you explain that? Marcus thought about it for a moment, then smiled. Humans have a saying. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. But sometimes, if you're creative enough and you have good friends helping you, you can make something even better than lemonade. You can make a feast. What the human means, Vextai explained to the captain, is that disasters are just opportunities wearing disguises. 3 days later, Marcus found himself in the strangest situation of his life. Instead of receiving his basic survival certification, he was being offered a position as Chief Innovation Officer for the entire Galactic Confederation training program. We want you to teach other species your approach to problem-solving, explained the Confederation representative. What you accomplished here in 12 hours usually takes our best engineers 12 months. But the best part was that Vextai, Zeph, Crix, and Thalen had all been offered positions as innovation specialists in their home systems. They would teach other aliens the human approach to creative problem-solving. Will we see each other again? Asked Zeph, now glowing a warm golden color. Are you kidding? Marcus laughed. We're going to be the galaxy's first interspecies emergency response team. Whenever something goes wrong anywhere, they're going to call us to turn the disaster into something amazing. I like the sound of that, Crix said, clicking with excitement. No more endless voting. Just rapid, creative solutions. And no more calculating perfect plans, added Thalen. Fast, good solutions that we can improve as we go. As Marcus prepared to leave Kepler 7 station, he looked back at the biodome where it all started. It was still running perfectly, still producing more water, power, and clean air than seemed possible. But the real miracle wasn't the machines they'd built. It was watching 4 aliens discover that they could think and work in completely new ways. They'd learned that sometimes the best solution to any problem was to stop thinking like everyone else and start thinking like humans. After all, when everything goes wrong, humans don't just survive. They thrive. And now, thanks to one very unusual survival drill, the rest of the galaxy was starting to learn how to thrive too.